In the humming silence of the cosmos, Sister Anastasia adjusted her spectacles, the crimson of her hair a stark contrast to the sterile white of the starship's corridors. Her black and white wimple was a familiar comfort, a tether to a life of penance she had chosen. Beneath it, a form-fitting black latex suit, a practical necessity for the harsh environments of deep space, clung to her like a second skin. She was a paradox, a woman of God in the godless void, a former nurse whose hands had brought both healing and, in one tragic instance, an end. The guilt of that single, irreversible sin was the black hole she orbited, a gravity well from which she could never seem to escape. Her mission, her penance, was to find a church, any house of faith amongst the stars, where she could unburden her soul and perhaps finally find absolution. Her ship, the St. Jude, a vessel as worn and weary as her own spirit, shuddered without warning. Alarms blared, red lights painting the corridors in the color of her hair, the color of her guilt. A violent tremor ripped through the ship, and through the viewport, Anastasia watched in horrified awe as space-time twisted and tore, a vibrant, chaotic nebula of colors she had never witnessed. The St. Jude was pulled into the Maelstrom, a transdimensional rift, a place whispered about in hushed tones by seasoned voidfarers. When the ship finally settled, it was not to the familiar hum of its own engines, but to an unnerving, organic silence. The view outside was a landscape of impossible beauty and terrifying alienness. Giant, bioluminescent flora pulsed with a soft inner light, and the air, which the ship's sensors deemed breathable, carried the scent of unknown blossoms and damp earth. Her first encounter was with the Lumina, beings of pure energy that communicated through intricate patterns of light. They flickered and danced around her, their ephemeral forms conveying a sense of curiosity and a peace that resonated deep within her soul. They showed her visions of their existence, a collective consciousness that knew no concept of sin or guilt, only the endless, harmonious flow of being. For a moment, Anastasia felt a lightening of her burden, a glimpse of a reality where her past did not define her. Deeper into this new dimension, she met the Geodes, crystalline entities that communicated through resonant frequencies. Their voices were a symphony of chimes and deep, vibrating tones that resonated with the very atoms of her being. They spoke of time as a multi-faceted crystal, each facet a different possibility, a different choice. They showed her the moment of her sin, not as a singular, damning event, but as one facet among an infinity of others. They offered her no absolution, but a change in perspective. The past was a part of the whole, they chimed, but it did not have to be the entirety of the song. Her journey was not without its perils. She narrowly escaped the clutches of the shadow weavers, predatory creatures that fed on negative emotions, their shadowy forms drawn to the guilt that still clung to her. It was in this desperate flight that she stumbled upon a different kind of being, one that would change the course of her penance. It was a lone, ancient creature, vaguely tree-like in its appearance, with bark-like skin and limbs that branched into delicate, leaf-like appendages. It called itself a listener. It did not speak in light or sound, but directly into her mind, its thoughts a gentle rustling of leaves. It was old, impossibly old, and it had listened to the stories of countless beings across countless dimensions. You seek a church, it rustled in her mind, its presence a calming balm, a place to confess, to be absolved. Tears streamed down Anastasia's face, a torrent of grief she had held back for so long. She told the listener everything. She spoke of her life as a nurse, of the impossible choice she had to make, of the life that was lost. She confessed her sin not to a priest in a confessional, but to this ancient, silent being in a world of impossible beauty. The listener did not offer her forgiveness. It did not tell her that her sin was absolved. Instead, it shared with her a simple, profound truth. The universe does not judge, it whispered in her thoughts. It simply is. The peace you seek is not in a church, but within the acceptance of your own story. You have carried this burden across galaxies. Perhaps it is time to set it down. In the quiet company of the listener, under the soft glow of the bioluminescent flora, Sister Anastasia finally understood. The church she had been searching for was not a building of stone and stained glass, but a state of being. The absolution she craved would not come from an external source, but from within. Her journey was far from over. The St. Jude was still damaged, and this new dimension was vast and mysterious. But for the first time in a long time, Sister Anastasia felt a flicker of something she had thought long lost: hope. She was still a nun, a nurse, a woman with a past. But now she was also a traveler who had glimpsed a universe far stranger and more forgiving than she had ever imagined. And in that, she found a semblance of peace, a quiet sanctuary in the vast cathedral of the cosmos. The search for a church had ended, but her true pilgrimage had just begun.